Hi guys.
Hi.
How are you?
Very good.
Good to
How are
see you
you?
after the premiere.
Yeah,
I'm
lovely.
doing good. I love the movie so much.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
amazing. For so many reasons. First of all, the nature aspect is so epic.
Yeah.
I like trees. And it's very, very strange for me to see this kind of atmosphere. But it's very subtle, everything. It's not, there is no dinosaurs gonna come from outside or King Kong or something like this. But it's all intact inside in your emotion and your performances. It almost felt like a dream or a memory. So, Joel, I'm gonna start with you. I wanted to know, how were you able to have this so much sadness, pain, and grief, and how did you translate this in an emotion in the film without no words, almost?
Well, I think that the audience can very quickly relate to the themes and the experiences of my character in the film. Love and parenthood, they're quite mostly universal things that people have experienced or thought about. Loss is such a big thing that people have experienced. So when we watch Robert go through these very universal human experiences, I think it's easy for the audience to connect with him. And for me, it was easy to connect with because I do have little kids. My greatest fear is that something might happen to them. I'm a man that's a husband and in love, and so I felt like in many ways it was like me dressed as a lumberjack. And I do contract work. I'm an actor that goes, can I be away from my kids for how long, before it gets too much?
It's crazy, but I told Felicity in the premiere, I was waiting with you for her to come back in the movie every single day. And when you reconstructed, your house, you guys creating your house, that was one of my favorite scenes. But you recreating the house without a bedroom, it almost broke my heart in the film.
I have a huge admiration for people who revere their first love so much that if that person goes away, no matter how old they are, that they don't remarry. I have no problem with anyone going and getting another partner, but there's something that you go, wow, that's a special kind of love.
So Felicity, the movie felt almost like a dream or a memory, and your sadness and warmth in the same time, it kind of translated this beautifully. I like how you supported him all the time. I like how you represented the hope for me in the first half of the film. How were you able to kind of make all of this in your character and very subtly, be there?
Well, I think she has to be, there has to be a lightness to her, and there has to be an immediacy to her, and there's almost a sense, deep down, maybe, in a sort of sixth sense way, will she live a long life? And so you feel that every moment that you have with her has to count for something. And I think part of Gladys is there's a little bit of a struggle between not getting sucked in. There were earlier drafts where she talked about her mother and her grandmother suffering from depression, and her trying to really push against that because she doesn't want to fall into the same life that they have had. So I think it's somehow in that struggle in her that gives her a vibrancy. She has to make life work, and it feels like an effort to make it work.
I felt this so many times in you pushing him, especially the time when you were just like, hey, and you took the gun and you're trying to point it out, you showed him strength and you kind of pushed him. But if you were to tell anything to your character, if you met your character, what would you tell her?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. I'd probably be more interested in what she tells me. I hope I did a good job.
No, you guys did amazing. I love the film. First of all, the fallen tree had me. Like that scene where the trees fall.
Yeah.
And it felt like the whole movie is tree falling, which is your emotion, your life, your house. It was for me like just tree falling. It represented different part of America that we don't get used to, but it's the real part of America.
You know what I love too is what happens after a forest gets burnt down is when you see things start to regrow, and characters like Ignatius Jack and Carrie's character Claire reminds us that the kindness of strangers and people help rebuild people, give us a chance to get back into a sense of community in the world. And I found that very special about the film. On one hand, you got destruction of forests,
but then building a fabric.
and then the way that...
And that's what gives us hope. It is amazing that when you see a piece of land and it's been scorched and burnt, and then 2 years later you start to see the new green saplings coming through, and you just think, gosh, things, they renew themselves, you know, in the depths of great trauma and hurt and pain, that, you know, something better will come. As you see that in nature, you hope that is the same in your own experience.
It was amazing, the regeneration. Guys, thank you so much for this. I wish I could have more time, but those guys are kicking me out. But it's all right. Pleasure. Thank you so much.